Hey everyone, Lou Clark here, and today in this video, I'm going to share with you 3 tips on how I live off of cash. Oh, and at the end, I have a bonus tip as well as free resources in the links below. Now, people who know me know I love to live off cash. Sure, I use credit cards for automatic and online purchases, and I do pay those off right away. But anywhere that I can physically be somewhere that I can pay cash, grocery store, dollar store, fast food takeout, whatever it might be where I'm physically and can pay, I pay with cash. The reason being is because when I got to $3 from bankruptcy, I realized it was my credit cards that got me in trouble. So the best way to get out of it was to learn how to live off of cash. Now, the clients that I work with will say to me, Lou, I want to know your cash method. I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, how do you live off cash? And I say, well, you just live off of cash. Like, but how do you live off of cash? I'm like, okay, well, you take the cash out of the bank and you use it to buy stuff. And they're like, I don't get it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, let me try and explain this. And it reminds me of one of the most funniest scenes of Schitt's Creek where Moira is teaching David how to make enchiladas. And it's when she's teaching him, or not really teaching him, but telling him to fold the cheese. In case you haven't seen it, I'm going to show it to you right now. But before I do, just a reminder, there are a bunch of links in the description below for you to grab some awesome freebies. Also, how to connect with me outside of YouTube. Okay, are you ready for this? Because I'm ready to show you.
You just fold it in.
Okay, I don't know how to fold broken cheese like that.
And I don't know how to be any clearer.
So now when people say to me, how do you live off cash? I'm like, you just live off cash. That video relates so much to how I try and tell people without me having the understanding that a lot of people don't understand how to really live off cash, meaning how much do you need? How do you track it? How do you take care of it in the home? How do you make sure you don't run out of cash? You know, we want to have more money than month at the end of the month. So we're going to dive into my 3 tips right now. So tip number 1, I want you to figure out what you're going to use cash for. Of course, you have automatic payments that come out of your bank account. And yes, you're going to have to use your credit card to buy things online. We get that. I get that. But anything that you're purchasing in person, you can use cash for. Whether it's meals, takeout, going through the drive-through, grocery store, department store, wherever it is that you're spending money in person, that's where you're going to learn to use cash. Don't even take your credit cards to the store. Take the cash. And if you're like, Lou, why are you getting so invested in using cash and not credit cards? Because my credit cards got me to $3 from bankruptcy. And the cash system I created is what got us out of the mess. So I want you to use it. And yes, it is scary trying to figure out what you're going to pay cash for. It's like creating a budget. And I do this because it's a loose budget. And the word budget scares a lot of people because they think it means you can't have what you want or you're going to go without. That's not the case here. You just need to figure out what you're paying cash for. Okay? So tip number 2 is you have to go to the bank and pull out the money or withdraw the money that you're going to need to live off of cash. Now, in the perfect world, you're able to pull out all the cash you need for a month. But don't worry, because there was a time where I couldn't do that. I could barely pull out what I needed for a week. And that's why it was really important to create a small budget. So I knew that I needed $150 a week for groceries, maybe $50 for takeout, right? And maybe I needed $25 for incidentals, things that I didn't think about but are going to show up. So I was taking $225, $250 a week to live off of that. And once the cash is gone, you don't buy it anymore. So if you've eaten out once that week and you don't have any money left to eat out a second time, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to cook. You can't eat out the second time. So with tip number 2, when you go to withdraw the money, start with a week and then go to 2 weeks, go to 3 weeks, go to 4 weeks. I personally now do a whole monthly withdrawal, and I actually track it for the entire month. Once you have pulled your money out of the bank, find something fun to keep it in, whether it is a jar, a box, something that you enjoy participating in. Mine's in a really cool box, and I love opening that box and seeing the money that's in there. Keep it secure in your home. Keep it someplace where you know no one's really going to go and find it, look for it, touch it. Just keep it safe. Number 3, every time you spend cash, every time you pay for something, you're going to want to have a receipt come back with you. So even if it's a $2 coffee at the coffee shop, ask them for a receipt. Because what should happen is your receipt should replace your cash. So this way you always know where your money's gone. Most people who live off of cash don't ever track it, but then they run out of money. Remember, more money than month. That's the goal here. So every time you pay for something in cash, request a receipt back so you can put it in your box or your jar. Okay? Again, the receipt has to replace the cash you spent. Okay, I promised you a bonus tip with a free resource, and here it is. In order to make this cash system work for you, you have to track it. Meaning when the receipts come in, you write them down on a piece of paper and you deduct it from the total of the money that's in your box. Which means that as you write these items down, what is written on your piece of paper as a balance is also the exact same amount of money that is in your box. Now, I have created a free resource for you to track. So in the description below, there is a link to my cash tracker. And it's yours. You can have it. Just go and grab it and start the process today. So just to recap, number 1, figure out what it is you're going to pay cash for on a weekly, if not monthly basis. Number 2, you're going to go to the bank and pull out the money that you need. If you can do it weekly, do it weekly. If you can do it monthly, do it monthly. Number 3 is you're going to replace all cash with receipts, meaning when you go to the store and spend money, you're coming home with a receipt. And number 4, you're going to track it because we need to make sure that we know exactly where our money is going, how we spent it, and what's left. Remember, the goal is to have more money than month at the end of the month. Now, if you do have more money at the end of the month, put it in your piggy bank. Just put it away. If you got extra, put it away. Don't spend it. Hopefully this video helps you to learn how to live off of cash. I'm Lou Clark, always here for you. Any questions, comments, or thoughts, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And until next time, enjoy the cash life because it's going to give you a lot more control than you ever knew you had. Until next time.